We are extremely proud of the quality, balanced journalism that CBS 4 News produces.
But we are concerned about trouble and trend of irresponsible, one-sided news stories plaguing our country.
The sharing of biased and false news has become all too common on social media. More alarming, some media outlets publish these same fake stories without checking facts first.
The sharing of biased and false
news has become all too common on social media.
More alarming, some media outlets publish these stories simply aren't true without checking facts first. Unfortunately, some members of the media use their platforms to push their own personal bias and agenda to control exactly what people think. And this is extremely dangerous to our democracy. This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
Looters stormed into Lower Manhattan last night. They destroyed store windows in Soho and lit fires during another night of violent protests.
They've been torching local businesses like this chicken restaurant.
The scale of destruction is bigger than in previous protests.
It's crazy out there. I wish there was a way to not be white anymore.
We've just witnessed at least one arrest. Police pepper spraying several people.
Because we're white, we have had privilege. Even the poorest of us have had privilege, and we need to recognize that. White privilege. White privilege.
$500 million plastic straws are used in this country every single day.
And many end up in the ocean, polluting water and killing sea life.
Straws suck, and we are no longer going to allow for plastic straws here in San Francisco.
Their time has come and gone.
That is polluting to the environment, that gets stuck in turtles' noses and causes damage to the environment.
I will stop sucking.
I will stop sucking.
We will all stop sucking.
It's those darn plastic straws. Alaska Airlines will become the first U.S. carrier to eliminate plastic straws and use compostable wood ones instead. Compostable wood ones instead. Compostable wood ones instead.
If you've seen Script Part 1, Top 10 Staged Media Events, then you'll know that 6 or arguably 5 corporations own and control the mainstream media, and that they share a narrative that is centrally scripted. In this video, we'll look at the corporations that own those corporations. In other words, the corporations that own shares or stocks in the mainstream media outlets as well as in the social media platforms. While shareholders are not technically the owners of these corporations, the more shares someone owns, the more influence they have over corporate policy. Let's start with CNN, which is owned by AT&T. AT&T's major shareholders are Vanguard, BlackRock, and State Street Corporation. ABC News is owned by the Walt Disney Company, and its 3 biggest shareholders are the same, Vanguard, BlackRock, and State Street. NBC and CNBC are owned by Comcast, and they have the same three top shareholders. Fox News has BlackRock, Vanguard, and State Street as its first, fourth, and sixth biggest shareholders. Viacom, which owns CBS, has BlackRock and Vanguard as its fourth and fifth biggest shareholders. Vanguard and BlackRock show up as the first and third biggest shareholders of the New York Times. Verizon, which owns the Huffington Post and Yahoo News, has Vanguard, BlackRock, and State Street as its top three shareholders. YouTube and Google are owned by Alphabet, which is owned primarily by Vanguard, BlackRock, FMR, and State Street Corporation. Facebook, which owns Instagram, has Vanguard, BlackRock, and State Street as 1, 2, and 5. Twitter is primarily owned by Vanguard, BlackRock, Morgan Stanley, and State Street Corporation. Considering BlackRock and Vanguard could own almost everything by 2028, according to this Financial Post article, we should know something about these companies. BlackRock is actually the biggest, managing $7 trillion in investments. BlackRock was founded in 1988 and currently has Larry Fink as its CEO. Vanguard was founded in 1975, and its CEO is Mortimer J. Buckley. BlackRock's favorite company to invest in is Microsoft, then Apple, Amazon, Facebook, Johnson & Johnson, Alphabet, and Berkshire Hathaway. And although Vanguard is a separate company, it has exactly the same top 7 investments: Microsoft, Apple, Amazon, Facebook, Johnson & Johnson, Alphabet, and Berkshire Hathaway. State Street is also most heavily invested in Microsoft, Apple, and Amazon, the same top 3 as Vanguard and BlackRock, and they have a similar top 10 list. Vanguard is the top shareholder of Microsoft with $100.96 billion in shares. BlackRock is second with $81.68 billion in shares, and State Street comes in third with $49.64 billion in Microsoft shares. So the corporations which own the mainstream media and social media are partly owned by 3 bigger corporations. And that's not all the big 3 own. They are the biggest shareholders of virtually every Fortune 500 company. And if you thought that was scary, meet the 4th branch of government, BlackRock, aka Larry Fink, who is now managing the Federal Reserve's COVID Emergency Fund. But in a way, this is nothing new. The top 3 plus Fidelity Investments and JP Morgan have been managing U.S. money for a long time. So meet the people who own and or control the broadcast media, print media, social media, and a whole lot more, also known as the less than 1%. Larry Fink owns the biggest corporation on earth and now manages the U.S. COVID bailout fund, the proceeds of which are going to massive corporations which he is invested in, and none of the bailout money is designated for small business. Vanguard has an almost identical investment portfolio to BlackRock, as does State Street. Bill Gates has billions invested into every part of the global healthcare industry, from Big Pharma to the World Health Organization to a vaccine that will supposedly allow life on Earth to return to normal. The narrative you're hearing in the mainstream media and the algorithms that decide what you'll hear on social media are at best scripted not to offend these CEOs, and at worst, scripted by and for these CEOs. So the next time you consume mainstream information, ask yourself if the solutions to the crises presented benefit you or the 1%. Thanks for watching Independent Media.